Hi everyone, and welcome back to another ASMR video, and we have the art of Assassin's Creed Mirage. Assassin's Creed Mirage is the latest Assassin's Creed game in the mainline series. Was supposed to be a DLC for Valhalla, and then they ended up making it its own game. And it goes back to the original Assassin's Creed game roots with the stealthy gameplay and things of that nature. It was okay. I mean, I'm going to play every Assassin's Creed game no matter what because of the storyline with the Assassins and Templars. Modern day is why I keep playing, even though from what I've heard and read, the modern day is now going to be its own entity. So there'll be Assassin's Creed games, and then there'll be the modern day in the Assassin's Creed hub, which is called Infinity. So we'll see how that all plays out, and I believe Assassin's Creed Infinity will launch later this year with Assassin's Creed Codename Red, which we still have not gotten an official full name of the game, what it's really going to be called. But anyway, let's dive into Baghdad, and let's see what's in here, the art of Assassin's Creed Mirage. Okay, so this is another Dark Horse release. See if I can zoom out a little bit there, you guys can see. So there it is, the Art of Assassin's Creed Mirage, written by Rick Barba. And the contents, we have a forward, Chapter 1, Anbar, Chapter 2, Alamut, Chapter 3, Power and the Order, Chapter 4, Deserts and Marshes, Chapter 5, Rebuilding Baghdad, Chapter 6, Harbaya, Chapter 7, Abbasiyah, Chapter 8, Karch, Chapter 9, The Round City, and then Chapter 10, First Civilization and Myths. So, Baghdad, one morning of the year 862. We push open the door of a hidden one's bureau to find ourselves on the street. The rays of the rising sun cut through the dust, swirling in the air. Musicians play the ode a few steps away. A town crier announces the latest news from Baghdad. We are at the center of the world. Hearken, all travelers and visitors. The Caliph is pleased to welcome you to the city of Baghdad. Frequent the bazaar to savor the choicest delicacies from those exotic goods newly imported from the Far East, to the delicious dates and figs grown within these very grounds. Recreating the golden age of this culture and scientifically advanced city, along with telling a condensed story in it, has been at the heart of Assassin's Creed Mirage's production. Today, when we launch the game and walk through the city, or when we encounter its inhabitants, we feel a strange and lingering sense of familiarity. We have roamed this place for so long that we know every corner of it, and in certain corners we come across some things that resonate differently. At the very beginning of the project, when I was asked about my intentions for the game's artistic direction, I didn't immediately talk about architecture and historical reconstruction. Having grown up on the other side of the Tigris River, I drew my initial intentions from childhood memories. This is how I laid foundations that those who held the vision of a Baghdad of dust and ruins wouldn't expect. I described a garden city with water everywhere, fountains, canals, with palm groves, southern marshes with majestic flocks of migratory birds, and above all, the Frog's Corner, along the river that I cherished as a child, says Jean-Luc Sala, who is the art director. When the artist started working on Basim's costume, I had to find a specific element that would help define Basim as a character by adding to his personality and backstory. I thought of Basim's childhood with his father in Samara and the house he left without ever returning. I remembered my own move from my childhood home and the pieces of tapestry I took with me to keep a memory of that place. This is why Bassam's character now carries a blue pendant on his costume, a piece of faience detached from a wall in his childhood home. These are just a few examples among many, and the reason why we feel at home while exploring the world of Assassin's Creed Mirage. It is filled with these fragments of lives, ours and those of the hundreds of people on the team who have put a piece of themselves into it in one form or another. We are convinced that the soul of a game is composed of all these individuals. This book celebrates the talent and dedication of all the artists who participated in recreating the vibrant world that is 9th century Baghdad, and all the stories that took place there. We hope you will enjoy wandering the glorious, sunny, bustling streets of the city by our side. Welcome, says Sarah Beale, narrative director. Chapter 1, Anbar. Street rat of Anbar, right over here. Set in the Abbasid Caliphate of the 9th century, Mirage explores the origin story of Bassam ibn Ishaq, one of the most complex characters in the Assassin's Creed series. Early concept art wrapped the street urchin's head in a scarf, but art director Jean-Luc Sala's team opted for a bare-headed final version. We wanted players to get familiar with Bassam's features before we hid them later under an assassin's hood, he says. And then right over here, this picture. Mirage's art features two primary palettes, Persian blue and orange sepia. Here, Bassam's first leap of faith, that sacred right for all assassin candidates, ends up underwater in a swirling spectrum of blue. And then down here, this depiction of Bassam's sprint down an Anbar alley experiments with the orange and sepia-based hues, also prominent in the game. And then this whole picture here. This striking street scene by artist Arnaud Kleindienst was one of the first and most important images generated by the art team. It served as an important touchstone, establishing the ambiance of Mirage. Art director Sala says, "We considered it the mother of all images, the one we kept revisiting to check our lighting and colors and vibrancy, and to match the opposite feeling we wanted." Nihal. Annika Mercier, the team's primary character concept artist, created Nihal, Bassam's special companion. A street rat just like Bassam, Nihal has a distinctive pirate-inspired look, a personal style that mirrors her focus on freedom, self-reliance, and the good life. Mercier says she wanted to mix feminine accessories with Nihal's vagrant aesthetic to show that the character is intent on standing out. Jasib, this guy right here. Yasib, another street orphan and Bassam's good friend, proudly wields a self-built slingshot as his signature weapon. His tragic fate profoundly affects Bassam. Dervis. Tough but caring, this colorful gang lord oversees Bassam and the other thieving urchins of Anbar. His look is rough around the edges, but flashes bits of style. Note the jewelry and belt. When Dervis gets his hands on nice stuff, he's happy to flaunt it, says Sala. Khalif al-Mutawakil. I probably botched that name. Known for aggressively expanding the Abbasid Empire, Khalif al-Mutawakil is a repressive figure operating under the secret direction of the Order of the Ancients. The official color of his caliphate, deep red, seen here in the accents of his garments, becomes an important visual motif in the game. Any manifestation of caliphate power is red, says Sala. So rebels wear red armbands to signify their defiance of the regime. We have this painting here. This spectacular overview by artist Edouard Nossetti paints Anbar as a peaceful fishing village and the site of the Caliph's landmark Winter Palace in the upper left, right here. Note the imposing skyline of Baghdad on the hazy horizon miles away, which is right here. Chapter 2, Alamut. Basim arrives in Alamut, the legendary cradle of the Assassins, as a young man, now hooded and wearing the blue accented attire of a Hidden One's novice. With this outfit, the Mirage art team sought to pay homage to the classic look of Altair in the original Assassin's Creed game. They also included elements of the future Basim's outfit from Assassin's Creed Valhalla, the belt with throwing knives, the leather armbands, and the red sash on the wrist. This first Basim concept was created by Jean-Luc Sala to kickstart the work on the lead character's many costumes. He incorporated the ideas of a white Levantine robe with Arabic patterns, a blue scarf, and shirmag and tassels. And here, a master's attire. Assassin cult imagery revolves around great birds of prey, like the falcon and eagle, hence the hood's beak, the use of feathers to designate targets, and the killer talon of the hidden blade. The art team also gave each member a unique wrist guard to sheathe their blade. Annika Mercier says, "My challenge was to combine the artistic, technical, and cultural aspects for the hidden blade. When a Hidden One's novice like Basim completes their training at Alamut, they graduate to the red trim garments of the Master Assassin." This is here. Character designer Annika Mercier explored many iterations of the hoods worn by Basim and others, including the addition of a typical Arabian underscarf worn around the head and shoulders. This added the look of a desert traveler to the iconic Assassin's hood. The team used color to create a clear visual differentiation between apprentice, blue, and master, red attire. Early iterations are at left. Below is the final version of the master outfit. Note how the red accents are subtler. Roshan. This Hidden One's mentor is equally powerful and perceptive. She immediately recognizes how Basim's anger and inner turmoil reveal his singular talent. In creating Roshan's look, the art team wanted the imposing aura of a natural leader. Her leather shoulder pad, the prominent assassin's crest on her belt, the huge sword, the biggest sword in the game, says Sala, all give her a formidable, iconic presence. As she is from Persia, I incorporated features into Roshan's costume that aren't found in the other Levantine Assassins' outfits, says character designer Annika Mercier. This is why she has imposing leather pads on her neck and shoulder. And then over here we have Rayhan. As head of the Hidden Ones at Alamut, Rayhan required a both commanding and elegant appearance. By design, his embroidered silk fabrics cast the light in an almost metallic way. Overall, the team wanted Alamut to celebrate the Assassin's Creed brand by harking back to classic images of earlier games in the series. We wanted a black and red motif for Rayhan, says Sala, reflecting Ezio's look back in Revelations. The look of an assassin. This image was one of the very first iterations of an assassin's attire created by the Mirage art team. We were exploring what to keep in homage to the earlier games, and what new details to develop, says Sala. The version shown in this sketch does not appear in the game, but it helped define the basic appearance of a Hidden One. Tabid. Basim meets and befriends several Alamut residents destined for administrative leadership roles. Called Rafik, each one is visually marked by a white chevron on their sleeves. Tabid will become chief of operations for a prominent Hidden One's bureau outpost. Rebecca. This skilled Rafik craftswoman is an important member of the Hidden One's operational staff at Alamut. As the Secret Society's master weaponsmith, Rebecca is responsible for forging the Brotherhood's primary weapons, including Basim's deadly sword. Fulda. This Rafik serves as the all-important Eagle Master at Alamut. In Mirage, Fulda raises and trains the eagle Enkidu, named after a legendary figure from ancient Babylonian mythology, then assigns the bird as Basim's loyal companion. So this is Fulda right here, and this is Banu Musa. This is one of the Musa brother triplets in Mirage, all brilliant scholars who reside in Alamut and were inspired by real historical characters. These math, astronomy, and technology geniuses also provide a bit of comic relief in the game, as Basim occasionally misidentifies who is who, sometimes on purpose. Here's Nur, a fellow young novice, as indicated by his blue belt, also training at Alamut. Nur becomes Basim's good friend and sidekick. He's idealistic with a far less complicated psychology than Basim. The Secret Temple. These early concept images depict a secret underground hall beneath the great Alamut fortress. In a ritual ceremony, Hidden One's apprentices pledge to uphold the tenets of the Creed. Note the ancient portal on the rear wall, an entrance that dates back millennia to a mysterious past. In the final game, however, the design team chose to keep the door hidden behind a fake wall. Rite of the Hidden Blade. In the Hidden One's temple, master assassins of the Brotherhood surround the apprentice Basim in a candlelit circle to support his vow of loyalty to the Creed. The candidate receives his own hidden blade and undergoes the ritual severing of his ring finger. Here we see Basim raising his hand to display the results of surgery. And then down here, each Hidden One's candidate heats his new blade in a basin of glowing hot coals. Thus, when his ring finger is sliced off, the wound is cleanly cauterized. In Assassin's Training. These two images explore the training regimen of the young novice Basim in blue, with his mentor Roshan in red. So here's Basim, and here's Roshan. Salah points out the striking physical contrast of the Highland fortress to the city of Baghdad the player encounters later. These early sketches emphasize blue tones, chilly wind, snow in the mountains. He notes that the final version of Alamut is not quite so stark and cold. And on this picture, more early images portray the Alamut bastion under construction, with scaffolding and cranes hovering over incomplete towers. Alamut Village. In the Assassin's Creed timeline, Alamut's iconic fortress won't be completed until well after the events of Mirage, another 200 years or so later. In fact, in this game, the explorable part of Alamut in the village depicted at the right, which is here, located in the canyon below the mountaintop castle, Salah calls it a Hidden One's boot camp, where the next elite cadre of master assassins are being trained. Concept artist Edward Noisette says, I mixed Persian castle architecture and Tulanud style to create our fortress. And then down here, earlier concept art depicts the Alamut fortress in a more advanced stage of construction than its final form in the game. The spiral tower seen here is typical of Abbasid period architecture. An image of the Alamut Castle in progress by marketing artist Sebastien Clermont-Petit. Chapter 3, Power and the Order. Masks with ancient roots. In creating the Order's mask concepts, Jean-Luc Sala wanted an ancient look, predating even the 9th century Islamic world of Mirage. We started our research with the famous Mask of Sargon, he says, referring to the bronze cast of the head of a Mesopotamian king, now in the Iraq Museum in Baghdad. Based on that, the art team began to explore a range of Babylonian-inspired masks, seen in the line sketches across the bottom of this spread. So here, right here, this image was one of the Mirage art team's first attempts to explore the Order of the Ancients' masks and the dark, chilling effect they can have on a scene. And then down here, the mask idea was twofold. First, to hide the wearer's identity, and second, to create a foreboding sense of the Order's ancient roots. Over here, this 3D rendering shows 5 masked members of the Order as they appear in the game. We saw it as our rock band poster of the bad guys, jokes Sala. A secret order. The Mirage art team wanted each mask to be striking, unique, and distinctly recognizable. Again, we wanted that Babylonian aura, really ancient and a little bit unnerving, says Sala. To that end, his crew spent a lot of time exploring shapes and textures, including experimenting with 3D images. This concept painting of a mysterious figure in a triangular mask was based on the definitive rendering from the game. The Caliphate's color. As mentioned earlier, Khalif al-Mutawakkil has designated red as his official color. It is also an exclusive color. No subjects are allowed to wear or display red. Only elements directly associated with the Caliph's rule, his guards and soldiers, his personal entourage, certain government buildings, and official structures may display the Abbasid Caliph's color. Sadly, the Caliph's red-trimmed elephant transport in the early concept art above didn't make it into the game, which is right here. This portrait art depicts the final look of the red-clad Caliphate Guard, including unit and weapon variants. We tested a number of colors for gameplay purposes, says Salah. Bright red was easiest to identify even from afar. This exploratory sketch depicts a younger version of Roshan, one of the very first renderings of Basim's mentor, according to Salah, watching the Caliph's entourage from a rooftop. Turkic mercenary guards from eastern lands work for the Caliph but wear colors other than the Caliphate red. Variations on the Abbasid knight outfit for Basim included military-style helmets, leather chest armor, and metallic shoulder pads and wrist guards. Every wrist guard, dagger, and hidden blade sheath in the game was designed to have a unique, ornate look. In outfitting combatants from both the Order and the Caliphate, the art team wanted to explore a wide range of weapon options. Concept art sketches on the light background are early explorations of ornament styles. The weapons on the black background above are 3D renderings of final assets from the game. Chapter 4. Deserts and Marshes. A land of contrasts. The region around Baghdad in Mirage, as in real life, is a unique mixture of hot, dry desert and marshy wetlands that people unfamiliar with the local geography may find surprising. Man-made canals connecting the Tigris and Euphrates rivers provided transport and advanced irrigation systems for the local agriculture, as seen in the top image by concept artist William Coe. Above left, it was a brick factory. As Jean-Luc Sala points out, this was a civilization built on the sun-baked brick. A lush rice field above, which is here, and on the right, above right here, offers another example of the greenery flourishing near Baghdad. And down here, the marshlands in the game are primarily south of the city, again, as in the actual region today. This panoramic vista looks north toward Baghdad on the horizon. In the 3 stacked images above, the art team explored the palm groves and other rural areas farther from the city, where herds of sheep and cattle are tended. And then down here. The images above experiment with lighting, shadow, and mood, including various treatments of the desert sky. I grew up with this light in Iraq, says Salah, so getting the color right was important to me. The team settled on a base color called Naples yellow, one of the oldest known synthetic pigments, once used in ancient Mesopotamia. This long view of the approach to Baghdad from the west is another overpainting by Edward Nusset of the actual in-game map, with palm and fruit groves, atmospheric dust, and intense light. Light and shadow. The red-lit scene rendered above depicts a carnivory outside Baghdad, a resting place and informal trading mart for travelers. To its right, the looming ziggurat of Dur Kuzuzu, an iconic ancient landmark, signals the approach to Baghdad for camel caravans. The image of ruins below explores night mood using our Persian blue palettes, says Saleh. And then over here, the treatment of light in this image of irrigated rice fields and Baghdad's distant skyline features Naples yellow blending into shades of Parma pink across the horizon. Arabian Nights. Mirage includes some classic Arabian Nights themed quests. Early concept sketches explored what Saleh called postcard images of the Alibaba Gate, leading into the legendary hideout of the 40 Thieves. His team used the location's folkloric status to experiment with an Arabian blue palette for the night skies, less realistic but more dramatic. The 40 Thieves hideout is a sprawling underground complex, custom designed for agile assassins with superior parkour skills. This concept painting by Quentin Gabriel explores the layers, interior spaces, and lighting. The rural South. South of Baghdad, wealthy landowners possess vast estates with rich, verdant fields and extravagant mansions like the one below. True to history, this countryside elite breeds the fabled Arabian horse, as seen on the opposite page. They also own slaves to work the fields. And then down here, much of the art team's concept work sought to correct the cliched notion that Baghdad's biome is nothing but a sandy desert wasteland. Local wetlands exhibit a remarkable variety of flora and wildlife, including flocks of migratory water birds like these flamingos. Chapter 5. Rebuilding Baghdad. Bright Lights, Big City. Faithfully recreating 9th century Baghdad while recasting it for Assassin's Creed gameplay was a monumental and rewarding challenge for Jean-Luc Saleh's art design team. At the time Mirage's set, Baghdad is one of the biggest, richest, and most architecturally sophisticated cities in the world, Saleh says. And so we all agreed early on, let's go big. For the first time since the London of Assassin's Creed Syndicate, the game's playground is a sprawling, expansive city. Minerals serve as synchronization points that offer majestic skyline vistas. Towering at Baghdad's center is the magnificent Palace of the Caliphate, a green dome landmark designed to be visible from almost any viewpoint, even miles away well outside the city. This concept painting by Arnaud Kleindienst was one of the first generated for the project. Saleh used it as another reference image for his team. Much like the street scene showed on pages 12 to 13, our version of Baghdad is designed for parkour and rooftop transit, he says. But this early image also established visual touchstones for Mirage. The colors, light, architecture, dusty horizons, and overall atmosphere and mood. Early concepts. 9th century Baghdad was a bustling city, bursting with commerce and culture. The concept images on the next few pages explore some of the early ideas for various Baghdad districts: the waterfront on the Tigris River, the city gates and walls, marketplaces and military grounds, and various residential neighborhoods. All districts emphasize the veracity of the game, by the verticality of the game, by featuring plenty of high points with classic zipline opportunities. And then up here it says, this sketch explores how dwellings and marketplaces often sprouted and thrived around the great entry gates on Baghdad's outer wall. Building tools. Some of the Mirage concept art was produced as flat imagery, but many of the game's art assets were created with 3D models, giving the game design team architecture kits of visual tools to help build their environments. Doors, wall textures and patterns, windows and other construction materials could be easily placed, moved, and modified. Different kits were used for Baghdad's rich and poor neighborhoods as seen above. The art team's 3D ornamental kits gave the level designers a rich variety of decorative tools to customize each space, including beads, trinkets, lanterns, hanging carpets, and furniture. This work explores how the rich kit, the art team's set of 3D models for building Baghdad's upper-class districts, can be deployed to create a typical street scene. And then down here, early sketches examine visual concepts for a Hidden Ones Bureau with its map room and operations center. The Round City. The Mirage layout largely matches the archaeological record of historical Baghdad. Dubbed the Round City, it was built inside circular walls on the Tigris River, with the massive Caliph's palace rising at the geometric center. The city eventually outgrew this circle as new districts bustling with bazaars and housing sprang up outside the walls. Here, Edward Noyset's breathtaking overhead view depicts the game map. A river's impact. 9th century Baghdad's role as an economic powerhouse depended heavily on its access to the Persian Gulf provided by the Tigris River and its man-made canal system. The river life of the city's waterfront districts plays an important role in Mirage, says the art team, and the art team worked hard to generate its distinctive look. We did a lot of research to recreate the boats and docks of that time, says Jean-Luc Sala. Those canals brought to life to the city and the entire region. And then here, this warship is based on the famous Jewel of Muscat, the recreation of an actual Arabian Dio that sank into sediment off the coast of Indonesia in 830 AD and was discovered remarkably preserved more than 1,000 years later. In Mirage, the ship was designed to be a landmark entity. Chapter 6. Harbaya. Mean streets. Harbaya is the industrial district and poor quarters of Baghdad, a district where the most prominent structure is a hulking prison fortress, evoking the power of punishment. Every golden age in history has a dark side, with a hidden cost for its glory and achievements, says Jean-Luc Sala. Harbaya is where we see the price paid for the Caliphate's grandeur. Filled with dark, narrow streets and shady characters, Harbaya's look called for a murkier set of colors and mood lighting. And down here, part of an early series of blue-tone concept images exploring the Harbaya prison. This striking work dramatizes a key nighttime raid in which Bassem liberates Ali ibn Muhammad, leader of the Zang rebellion against the Caliphate. A workers' district. When rendering Harbaya street life, Mirage level designers took full advantage of the art team's poor kit architectural models. The district's poor working-class neighborhoods are largely constructed of cheap adobe bricks and other inferior materials. Walls are warped, structural lines bend and sag. Nothing is really straight or clean by intention, says Sala. Below, red-clad Caliphate guards patrol a border gate that leads out of Harbaya to an upper-class district, a stark line of demarcation between rich and poor. The Great Mosque. The decision to place the Great Mosque of Baghdad in a working-class district like Harbaya was an interesting choice, one that makes political sense. This magnificent structure, with its colorful domes and mosaics, was certainly an awe-inspiring place of worship for the common folk, but for both the Abbasid Caliphate and the Order of the Ancients, religion and obedience were closely related concepts. As Sala points out, the Great Mosque's immense solidity can also convey a sense of authoritarian power and control. And then down here it says, Harbaya's prison is as much a military installation as a place of incarceration. Its monumental architecture was meant to project an image of the Caliphate's unassailable power. First Bureau. In Mirage, the first Hidden Ones Bureau established is in Harbaya. The image below is an early concept treatment of the Bureau's interior space. Racks of weapons, storage cabinets for scrolls, letters, and other documents, and work desks for investigation and study. Images on the opposite page also explore window design and lighting. Down here, a sluice gate control wheel on the city walls releases water from an outflow ditch into the canal system. And then down here, bureau desktops are covered with investigative tools and served as visual studies for the game's start screens. Wanted, dead or alive. In the Harbia district, any street can be dangerous for anyone at any time. But for a Hidden One's assassin, especially one like Basim, identified in dramatic wanted posters by local authorities, even a casual stroll can end up in dire straits. Whether fighting off foes with scimitar and knives, or using social stealth to blend into a procession of monks, a Hidden One assassin needs to take special precautions. And then over here on this page, Sala insisted that the wanted posters in Mirage look authentic, produced in the classical Arabian painting style of that era. Chapter 7, Abbasiyya. A cultural hub. The Abbasiyya district of Baghdad in Mirage serves as the epicenter of cultural and knowledge for not only the Abbasid Caliphate, but the entire civilized world. Site of the House of Wisdom and other landmarks of learning, this peaceful quarter is home to a diverse, well-educated population of scholars, scientists, physicians, artists, musicians, students, and other knowledge workers. So down here, this overview of Abbasiyya mixed the usual Persian color palettes of sepia and turquoise, blue with more pastel shades, to emphasize the peaceful nature of the district. The ivory structure prominent in the distance is the House of Wisdom, which is this. Then up here, we wanted Abbasiyya to be like a big campus, says Solon Straposen, Associate Art Director for Mirage. Its clean, quiet neighborhood include gardens and parks with plenty of trellises and greenery. And then this image is an important early version of the House of Wisdom entrance, a serene garden courtyard with decorative pools where scholars gather to talk and read books. This image here, this iteration of the House of Wisdom with its smooth white domes is closer to what ended up in the game. Then down here, this early rendering of Abbasiyya's Hammam, the public bathhouse, is another example of the architectural sophistication in this district. Up here, Abbasiyya's neighborhoods feature wide streets, comfortable residential areas, and plenty of commercial activity. And down here, the canals in Abbasiyya feature well-built banks and bridges. We wanted the district to have a Venice-like feel, says Jean-Luc Sala. Up here, this sectional cutout was created to focus on Abbasiyya's central marketplace. In the game, of course, the market square is surrounded by urban streets. Then down here, this image of an underground waterway explores the striking contrast of light and its entrance. Sala calls it the Sol y Sombra, effect sun and shadow, a central visual concept in the Mirage art design. The Assassins'S Highway. Abbasiyya's central market is full of merchants selling fine pottery, carpets, books, art, and other upscale merchandise. The overview of the layout at left also explores the intricate multi-layered geometry of the market's continuous rooftops. These, of course, serve as a kind of elevated walkway in the game. We call it the Assassins'S Highway, says Salome Straposen, Associate Art Director. And then down here, this early study of the House of Wisdom also explores Abbasiyya's rooftop spaces. We wanted to life up there, as well as good cover, says Straposen. Cooling vents, carpets, mosaics, and other decorative features form a robust rooftop silhouette. Assassins' Haunts. Much of the Mirage story takes place in Baghdad's bright, sun-blasted outdoor spaces, but key moments occur in the shadows. The art team produced several studies exploring the murky interiors and underground passages where Hidden Ones operate, the dramatic lighting of a Hidden One's bureau corridor shown at the right, for example, or a mysterious, darkly shimmering occult chamber, which is below. Here, this spectacular high point observatory was an early landmark that fell by the wayside in development, but the sketch captures the intensity of Baghdad's night sky, ripe for astronomical study. Shadowy machinations lie hidden in a secret chamber beneath the House of Wisdom. Enlightenment above, darkness below, says Sala. And then here, knowledge sometimes threatens the ruling power. This sketch captures the disturbing spectacle of a book burning in the House of Wisdom's central courtyard. A haven of enlightenment. The early art design of the House of Wisdom's interior spaces focused on the concept of a sanctum for scholars, multiple halls dedicated to the work of famous philosophers and scientists. The idea was to create a serene, warmly lit haven where academics and students could explore the writings and research of great minds dating back for centuries. Down here, the study alcoves offer a multidisciplinary range of subjects: geography, astronomy, natural history, human anatomy, and motion, and more. Down here, this image explores the stealth pathways above the House of Wisdom's halls, the high ledges, beams, windowsills, and other handholds that allow assassins to maneuver unseen. The look of real science. The Mirage art team painstakingly developed a set of authentic-looking schematics for placement in the game. We really wanted our science fiction diagrams to look like actual medieval documentation, says Sala. To create that look, the team studied mechanical drawings and other historical sources of that era. Over here, research showed that most scholarly books in 9th century Baghdad resembled modern portfolio journals with ornate fold-over front covers. And then over here, this anatomical study of a cow is based on actual sketches from books like those shelved in 9th century scientific libraries. Here, making in-game assets authentic yet functional was a challenge at times. Keeping a map grounded in the medieval style flat representation while still serving its purpose as a mission objective clue was often tricky, says Sala. The Alru device in Mirage was inspired by the astrolabe, starholder in Greek, an astronomical instrument invented in ancient Greece but perfected in the Islamic world. And then up here, 3 early explorations of the scholarly faction's hexagonal favor token, used as underground currency in the game. The one with the feather symbol was the final version this year. Down here, in 9th century Baghdad, sophisticated astronomical mechanisms like this orrery let scientists plot the movement of the planets and anticipate celestial events. For us, the orrery was a visual marker for the kinds of advanced knowledge on display in the House of Wisdom, says Sala. Hunyan. A scholar in the House of Wisdom, Hunyan is a Nestorian Christian who speaks fluent Greek. Nicknamed Sheikh of the Translators, he is a Caliph's leading translator of ancient scientific treatises from Greek into Arabic, an important aspect of the Abbasid knowledge revolution of that period. Imprisoned by the Order of the Ancients, Hunyan is also forced to decipher an old occult text to facilitate the Order's search for lost cities, old ruins, secret temples, and ancient technology. Fazl. Head of the House of Wisdom, Fazl is considered the preeminent scholar in the Caliphate. Eloquent, educated, and quite vain, he deems himself the wisest man in all of Baghdad, and thus the world. Wisest of the wise, and rich yet modest, were the key phrases chosen by Annika Mercier to define Fazl. Chapter 8. Karkh. Baghdad's commercial district. The bustling, hustling Karkh district is the beating heart of commerce in Baghdad. As such, it's an important stop on the Silk Road, the famous Eurasian network of trade routes flowing halfway across the world. Merchants and traders from east and west meet in Karkh to trade goods in the marketplaces of the Grand Bazaar, seen below. A vibrant mercantile paradise, Sala says. It's a very practical place, very lively, lots of people dedicated to trading. The Grand Bazaar also has the biggest footprint of any landmark building in the city. And then down here, this was a very early exploration of the Grand Bazaar, but it didn't change much in the evolution to its final conception. Down here, This district overview was designed to portray Clark's vivid organic sprawl, teeming streets, active canals, and a bright explosion of colors. Every day is market day here, says Sala. And then up here, this overhead image of the Great Garrison located to Konkok's southeast side in the military subdistrict called Sharkaya is a good example of early concept art that changed significantly in later iterations. Up here, this image employs what the art team calls an Arabian Nights palette of blue and orange to dramatically enhance the lighting of a busy Koch marketplace under a night sky, creating the feeling of a city that never sleeps. Then down here, this treatment plays with light and shadows to create the lively ambiance the team wanted inside the Grand Bazaar passageways. An assassin's moves. A lone assassin in a hostile city, armed with only sword and dagger, likely outnumbered and surrounded in every encounter. This basic idea drove the early development of combat images in Mirage. Concept art like this often serves a motivational purpose, helping convey the lead designer's vision of the world to their teams. Early studies explore the concept of carrying out assassinations from wells around the city, but the team felt it might pose too many design issues. What's in the wells? Are they connected? We didn't want to open that can of worms, said Sala. Up here, the classic Assassin's Creed corner swing is still one of the most exhilarating and iconic maneuvers in gaming. And then down here, as elsewhere in the game, the interplay of sunlight and shadow, sol y sombra, played an important role in creating the mood and atmosphere the design team wanted. Ning. A Chinese immigrant who came to Baghdad looking for a fresh start, Ning has worked hard in Koch to become a highly successful merchant and climb the social ranks. Calculating, sharp, mistrustful, and somewhat bitter about her hard-luck past, Ning is a loner who remains elusive and mysterious, even to her allies. She despises those who are lucky in life because she was unlucky. Annika Mercier says, Ning is of Chinese origin. She wears a mix of traditional medieval Chinese and Arabic clothing. Wasif. A blacksmith slave turned powerful warlord, Wasif rose through the ranks of the army to become a ruthless kingmaker. Charismatic, brutal, and cunning, the Turkic mercenary general surrounds himself with loyal troops and eliminates rivals with ruthless efficiency. Death and taxes. One mission in Mirage calls for the infiltration of a mansion on the heavily guarded estate of the Caliphate's tax collector, located right on the canal with an open courtyard. The manor presents a stout challenge for even the stealthiest of assassins. And then down here the team explored the concept of creating a distinctly darker, more oppressive look in Sharkaya, the military subdistrict, than in the rest of Koch. The change was eventually considered too jarring to work. Muhammad. Scion of the powerful Tahir family, Muhammad is the latest of their sons to serve as governor of Baghdad. He is a scholar and a poet, his aristocratic languor masking a shrewd political mind. Well-respected, well-informed, and well-used to putting out fires, Muhammad is keen to keep peace and order in an increasingly unstable caliphate. Kong. This Chinese merchant knows Basim from the younger days in the city. Kong can be a valuable source of help in affordable merchandise. He's a memorable character, too, providing a good illustration of how the Silk Road moves people as well as goods. Its legendary trade routes span distant regions and bring disparate races and cultures together in centers of commerce like Baghdad. A traveling merchant. Basim can obtain plenty of different outfits in the game, including the fine silken fabrics and bright colors typically seen on a wealthy traveling merchant. If players want a show-off outfit, this is it, says Sala. Different versions of the merchant's attire were explored, mixing elements from China, India, and Persia to show how trade inspired the blending of cultures. Character designer Annika Mercier took the opportunity to emphasize the colors of this outfit while keeping it assassin with the white material. And then down here, much care was taken in crafting the finer details of the merchant's attire, from the metallic sheen of the silk to the intricate and sophisticated embroidery. Touring Koch. These 2 pages present overpainted images of Clark's structures based on screenshots from the game. Below is a striking view of the Great Garrison as seen from the Tigris River. On the opposite page are treatments of an auction stage for luxury goods, the entry courtyard and fountain in front of the Grand Bazaar, the back entrance to a Hidden Ones bureau, and the hidden Alibaba estate in Clark's residential sector. Down here, red pennants mark the Caliphate's military presence in this Clark neighborhood. Protection must be conspicuous in a commercial district where great sums of money are exchanged. And then up here, rooftop pigeon coops indicate a Hidden Ones bureau, in this case, one surrounded by the bustle of a busy marketplace. This magnificent eagle's eye view of Clark was an early exploration of the urban layout and architectural blocks of the district. Sala wanted the unofficial currency of the merchant faction, the octagonal token, to feature exotic jade inlay to represent how important the Far East was to global trade. The favor tokens for the game's power faction feature military symbols, and their pentagonal shape is a subtle nod to a modern symbol of military might. These composite images of interior spaces in the Grand Bazaar were based on early in-game assets, but then populated with characters and props to help the Mirage lighting team explore ideas for mood. Up here, this image of a dramatic incident in the Grand Bazaar combines a number of final assets from the game into a blended complete artwork used for marketing purposes. Up here, this handsome study of Basim as a street thief, employing the pickpocket skills in the bazaar, was created by Digit Pictures, the studio that produced the Mirage CGI reveal trailer. And then down here, envisioning the Assassins'S highway of elevated routes above crowded city streets and markets is always a primary focus of the concept art team. Chapter 9, The Round City. The Four Gates. The Round City is the core of Baghdad, a city within the city, built inside circular walls that form protective rings around the Caliph's palace at the center. 4 great thoroughfares extend like spokes from the palace, each one passing through a separate monumental gate in the city wall. These gates are important city landmarks, named for the destinations at the other end of the roads: Kufa, Khorasan, Damascus, and Basra. The team tried to give each gate its own personality, says art director Jean-Luc Sala. And then down here, the top image, right here, is an early design of the Kufa gate. Just below it is the Khorasan gate. And then down here, the top image is the Basra gate. Below it is the Damascus gate. The Great Doors. Each gate in the Round City's outer wall features a unique door that, according to legend, came from outside the city. Left to right, the Damascus door traces back to an ancient city of King Solomon. The Khorasan door was a product of Egyptian pharaonic workmanship. The Kufa door was of Babylonian origin. Where the Basra gate door came from is unknown. Each door was said to be so heavy that it took an entire platoon of guards to open. Down here, in this early exploration of the Caliphal Palace, the Great Mosque and its towering minarets were integrated into the complex. Later, the team separated the 2 structures, moving the mosque outside the Round City. We wanted to give it a better footprint and its own magnificence, says Sala. One other note, the needle-shaped minarets seen here were not historically accurate, so they were changed in later concept art. And up here, this early exploration of gate construction and size was based on historical descriptions and measurements. Over here, nothing remains from the actual 9th century palace of the Caliphate, which gave the team some freedom of interpretation. This very early concept was based on influence of Islamic India. Here again, the palace and the Great Mosque were merged. The artist Lucas Leader explored the possibility of an enclosed structure behind fortress walls. Down here, eventually the art team decided to abandon the mosque-palace combination plan. The palace itself took on a heavier, more medieval Abbasid shape, surrounded by the Round City's circular gardens and walls. Note, the palace's blue domes in these images, that color would change after additional research. Up here, Ubisoft's historians eventually learned that an official name for the Caliph's Palace was Palace of the Green Dome. Thus, the art team changed the dome color at all caliphal buildings to green. Concept artist Edouard Nosset says, "The final shape of the palace took inspiration from both Arabian and Persian styles. The shape is similar to the Dome of the Rock in Jerusalem, and some decorations are inspired by Samarkand in Uzbekistan." And then down here. The mood image is an early study of the interior ambience of the palace. As you can see on the opposite page, the Caliph was an avid collector. Fine furnishings, books, art, rare artifacts, even animals. Up here. The Caliph's harem, seen here under the exquisite Arabian blue of the night sky, is built right into the wall circling the palace complex. Inside the wall, the harem retains access to the private palace gardens. Outside, it opens to public areas of the round city. Up here, the symbolic circular layout of the round city was designed to signify that every citizen is equidistant from the center of power. The gardens and harem are the most accessible palace landmarks. And then down here, falconry was a noble practice and a symbol of power in the caliphal areas of the gardens. Another part of the grounds became one of the first zoos in history. Arib, a poetess, courtesan, singer, and prolific composer. Arib was born into slavery, but rose to become the most prominent artist in the Abbasid Caliphate's palace court. This bold nonconformist used her charm and quick wit to gain allies and maneuver deftly through political storms. A clever and sometimes cynical woman, Arib was one of the most famous singers and poets at the court. She died at 96 and met 5 caliphs, Mercier says. Annika embraced the artistic stylings of that time, with elements such as yellow clothing and a coin headpiece. Plain the Khamanch. Originally purchased by the caliph to grace his harem, Arib eventually won her manumission and became a celebrated musician, mentor to other singers, and creator of a huge body of work. She was a master of the Khamanchi, a Persian bowed silk string instrument with a long neck, a round resonating chamber, and a truly mellifluous sound. Kabiha. Like Arib, Kabiha was born into bondage and used a position as concubine in the Caliphate's harem to rise out of slavery. But unlike Arib, she turned her focus to the acquisition of power and the manipulation of the Caliph himself. She bore his son, the prince, and became a secret operative inside the palace. Okay, right up here. The art team's visual explorations of the round city's outer walls and fortifications were based on architectural descriptions and measurements found in the historical records. And then over here, when an assassin gets cornered in the streets of the round city, a handy red smoke bomb helps him escape. And then down here, this open recital plaza near the Caliphal Gardens is designed as the perfect setting for Arab's music or poetry readings. These visual studies of the prince's palace include views of the marital review ground, site of the Caliph's military parades. The prince's palace entry faces across the review grounds to the heavily guarded Khorasan Gate. Home to a garrison of Caliphate troops, the guardhouse mixes military and palatal architecture. The images above explore seating and props on rooftops and inner courtyards of the round city's administrative buildings. Here, the Justice Hall. The images to the right present 2 wide views of the harem. Streets of the Round City. Artists explored street concepts for the Round City's public ring that sits outside the palace complex, but still within the outer circle of walls. Neighborhoods here are quiet, clean, and affluent. At the bottom, the landmark Baghdad post office also serves as the bureau for the Caliphate's intelligence service, so the team wanted a building with very simple block shapes for a low visual profile. A real-life technological wonder, the throne of the silver tree was an automaton with moving metal leaves and silver and gold birds that sang and flapped their wings. The Mirage design team decided to place this impressive symbol of power and wealth inside the Caliph's palace. Historically, however, the pure silver tree was installed in a secondary palace on the far side of the Tigris River. The last chapter, Chapter 10, First Civilization and Myths. In the earlier game Assassin's Creed Revelations, Isu memory seals are found in a secret location beneath the fortress of Alamut. Inspired by these Revelation artifacts, the Mirage concept artist Dimitro Pertsula explored variations of the memory seal, both as an in-game artifact and a possible collector's edition item. Myth and history. Assassin's Creed fans know that every game in the series has connections to a science fiction aspect of the lore based on the existence of a highly advanced first civilization, the Isu, that preceded mankind on Earth. Mirage is no exception. This game expands that Isu lore, going deeper into the roots of the mythology that links the various historical settings of the Assassin's Creed games. Here it shows, very early visual studies explored what a hidden Isu library storing memory seals might look like. One included a suspended stairway inspired by the spiral of the DNA helix. Myth and gear. In Mirage, players can find Isu artifacts including weapons and armor. Instead of designing full sci-fi outfits, the art team explored how a medieval person might blend Isu gear with their traditional clothing, as seen on this page. But Isu lore is not the only mythology in Mirage. After all, Baghdad was built on the grounds of ancient Babylonian and Persian empires. The mythical Persian warrior Rotsam from the epic poem Shahnameh, the Book of Kings, was well known in the days of the Abbasid Caliphate. What if Basim could find and equip Rostam's fabled gear, which we do in the game? The griffin head on the shoulders armor of the Rostam armor kit, seen above, represents a traditional Persian mythological creature. The Rostam dagger features a lion's head on the handle, a reference to the Persian hero's lore. Jinni, Isu, and Fire Demon. Many Assassin's Creed players love to customize their characters using fantasy elements, even if it breaks from historical accuracy or context. The Mirage art team proposed keeping such fantasy customization, but only if it could be grounded in local legends, like Rostam, for example, or Isu lore. This page features 3 examples: the Jinni, the Isu warrior, and the Fire Demon. The 2 Jinni fantasy outfits above are based on the entity that haunts Basim. At right, the Isu base gear features Isu neon patterns on the arms and chest plate. Concept art for this terrifying custom set is inspired by Persian folklore. Also shown are 2 explorations of the traditional flaming sword. Homage to Ezio. Adding iconic outfits that pay homage to previous games and characters in the Assassin's Creed series is an art design tradition. This costume is the team's take on Ezio Auditore da Firenze's classic outfit from Assassin's Creed Revelations. This Ezio gear keeps the Levantine shapes of Mirage, but adds colors, patterns, and fabrics from Revelations. This version of the classic Ezio cape didn't make it into the game. Artists put a lot of work into this character's outfit, says Sala. We didn't want a cape to cover it all up. The Prince of Persia blade. Paying homage to previous games was also extended to another legendary Ubisoft series, Prince of Persia. Since the Persian world starts at Baghdad's border on the other side of the Tigris River, it seemed natural to place a Prince of Persia tribute in the game, in this case the famous Dagger of Time. Assassin's Creed is a direct offspring of Prince of Persia. On this page, various concept designs for the legendary Dagger of Time. Another natural homage idea arose when the Mirage team started designing quests for collecting books and knowledge. The infamous Necronomicon, or Book of the Dead, with the Arabic title of Khabib el-Azil, from the work of H.P. Lovecraft. The concept art explored treatments of the book, with a very Lovecraftian treasure map to an occult artifact. Other legendary blades, such as the magic emerald sword from the Shahnameh, were also developed as in-game treasures. Some fans love fantasy weapons that glow, says Sala. This early research of the Jinni by Edward Noisette established the general look of the entity. The The concept was refined in later iterations. The Djinni, designing a nightmare. Of all the characters in Mirage, the Djinni was certainly the most challenging to create. It was an important story element for the game's narrative director, Sarah Bailu, and the team produced numerous studies of the entity. Eventually, a back-and-forth collaboration between lead 3D character artist Arthur Gaetano and concept artist Annika Mercier finalized the form of the apparition that haunted the dreams of both Basim and Bulio. The challenge for Mercier was to find a creepy way to conceptualize a character that would only be seen crawling in the shadows. So down here it says, shown above is the final art for the creature that appears in the game. And then over here, over time, I think everyone on the concept art team took a shot at designing the Djinni's look, says Salah. Here are a few of the team's sketches. Traces of a Lost Civilization. Unveiling first civilization secrets is key to the Mirage experience. To create an Isu visual language different from the rest of the game, the art team worked with concept artist Vincent Lebosi, a science fiction specialist. Below, a holographic reveal from an Isu memory seal and the exploration of an ancient Isu site beneath the Alamut fortress. Opposite page, medieval interpretations of advanced Isu technology. So down here, here's an example of Vincent Lebosi's hard surface rendering. And then this is the technology here. Down here, we have all that. Isu sites. Remnants of Isu culture can be found in the Mirage landscape. Below you see two versions of an Isu site for an important moment in the game. The team found the top image's neon-like lighting too obvious, opting instead for a subtler reveal, which is the bottom image here. And that, my friends, is the book. And here it says, Leap into the 9th century. This masterfully designed oversized hardcover art book invites the reader on a visual journey through the world of Assassin's Creed Mirage, a world defined by the dense and vibrant city of 9th century Baghdad, rich with fascinating characters and extraordinary places. Featuring iconic artwork ranging from stunning settings to dazzling weapons, as well as developer insights. An exploration of the development of Assassin's Creed Mirage, an insider's look at the back-to-the-roots focus of this unique game in the Assassin's Creed franchise. Ubisoft and Dark Horse Books offer this enticing collection of art and commentary that is sure to attract returning fans and newcomers alike. And then, as always, there's something that comes with it on the back here. Now it's the same as this. Same text, but here. So thanks for watching, guys. This has been the art of Assassin's Creed Mirage. I appreciate you guys watching. Stay tuned for more upcoming videos. Like I said, I want to say about next week or so, maybe by Thursday, a week from Thursday, I should have a massive video game pickup video to show you guys. And then during the week, I'm going to try to get into some old Game Informer magazines, and we'll take a look at what some of the things that we can see in those magazines as well. Appreciate all of you watching. Thanks, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye.